All right, if you're watching this, it's because you're either new to or you're passionately interested in work health and safety at Mountains Youth Services team. Either way, I'm sure you're keen to get started, so let's go. We're going to cover off on what is work health and safety. Most of you will already have a bit of an idea. What is unique about work health and safety here at MYST, so that's important. Our roles and responsibilities in relation to this organisation. Importantly, the potential hazards you might encounter while you're here at MYST, what you need to do if you do encounter those, and of course what to do in case of an emergency. All right, so let's have a little think about work health and safety. What is it? As I said, most people will have encountered work health and safety in the past. Here in this part of this presentation, I guess what I'm inviting people to do is to think about work health and safety, not so much as what we do, but how we do it. Okay, so let's look at some examples of what I mean there. Sleeping, is it safe or not safe? Okay, well, it depends on how you do it. So sleeping in a bed, definitely safe. Sleeping while driving your car, definitely not safe. Another example, changing a light bulb. You can imagine what we're going to do here. Okay, well, that's not safe, but it looks pretty cool. Really, I guess, again, I'm inviting people to stop and think about work health safety is not just a list of things that we do and paperwork that we fill out and things like that. It's an everyday action. It's about you thinking about what you do when you're here and the way that you do it. Is it safe or is it not safe? Okay, so that's what work health and safety is about. Let's think about what's different at MYST. So I like to use the example here that we never use chainsaws. Okay, now what this is supposed to do is invite you to think about the fact that every workplace is different and those differences are defined by the things that we do and, of course, how we do them. So we don't cut down trees or anything like that, but what we do have that makes our workplace different is we have a diverse number of areas that we operate in. So we have youth centres, we go into schools, we do outreach in the street, we do home visits. We have a diverse array of work that we do. So we run recreational programs where we take young people, out on excursions. We do one-on-one casework. We do crisis management. We do individual counselling and so on. And of course, we deal with a diverse range of people. So of course, there's our young people, their parents, engaging with the schools, the police, and so on. So there is a big diversity in the things that we do. And while we are not a high-risk workplace, we don't use heavy machinery, we don't use chainsaws, there is a lot of diversity, and it does mean we need to think differently about how we approach work health and safety. Okay, out of that we've created a structure to support our staff and the people that come to our organisation, and what that structure looks like, here we've got the management committee at the top, and if you're familiar with work health and safety legislation and terminology, they are the PCBU, the person conducting a business or undertaking. They're not around on a day-to-day level, so they nominate an employer rep, for lack of a better term. There is a better term, but we're going to use employer rep. And basically everyone underneath, the volunteers, staff, young people, contractors, visitors, should report all work health and safety matters or raise any questions and concerns to that employer rep. And that person is the manager. To the left, you can see the staff rep. They are there as an additional trained person who acts as a safety or a second person to access if the employer rep is either unavailable or perhaps if they're part of the problem or the response that you're getting from the employer rep is not satisfactory. As a staff member, if you are a staff member of MYST, the important thing to remember is the manager is the person to go to about any work health and safety matters. Okay, so MYST is committed to the safety and it's defined in our work health and safety policy. I'm not going to go through this word for word. It says you can read the policy separately. It says that we're committed to providing a safe workplace, that we strive through a process of continuous improvement, which means we are continuous, so we don't just set this up and then forget about it. We're proactive, we've set aside money, etc., etc. I'll show you where the policy is so you can go and have a look at it later on in this presentation. The employer roles and responsibilities. The employer or the PCBUs are in charge with making sure that this place is safe, that we have an induction process, that we provide training and supervision. This is, of course, part of that. That we provide safe facilities and equipment, that funds are available for work health and safety provision and maintenance. That means we've actually got money set aside when someone says, hey, that power switch is sparking and there's flames coming out of it, that immediately we can ring an electrician who will come and fix that. We don't have to look at the budget and think, do we have the money to pay for that? It's there, it's ready to go. And we document and implement the things that we do. Okay, that's really, really boring. So let's talk about your roles and responsibilities, because these are the things that you need to remember. Yeah, I'm ready. Tell me what to do. Okay, so you need to report all incidences and near misses. So near misses is important because what that allows us to do is get rid of or eliminate a hazard before someone gets hurt. So an example of that would be, if there's a particularly slippery bit of floor. I don't know why, maybe the kind of spray polish they've used to clean it is unusual, and every time you walk across that bit of floor, you sort of go, whoa, ooh. You don't actually fall, it's a near miss. If you don't report that, we don't know about it, we can't do anything about it, and what's going to happen is someone's going to fall and hurt themselves, and then we're going to do something about it. So you can help us to protect you and everyone else in the organization by not just reporting accidents that happen, but also near misses. Okay, labored that point. Take action to avoid, eliminate, or minimize hazards. So if it's safe to do so, remove the hazard. If there's a puddle on the floor and you go, gee, someone could slip on that puddle, don't just go and write up a report and report it. You can grab a mop or a cloth or put something over it that says caution slippery floor, and so on. Same with another obvious one would be if someone's run a power cord from the wall across to their desk and it goes across a walkway. Don't just think, gee, someone could trip on that cord. Unplug it. Tell them to plug it in somewhere else. Okay, comply with all work health safety instructions, policies, and procedures. It's a requirement of your employment that you comply with these policies and procedures. That's fairly straightforward. Make proper use of safety equipment. We don't have a lot of it. Again, it's not like we're a high risk workplace with heavy machinery and things like that. But shoes is a good one. It's a requirement that everyone wears shoes to protect their feet. Please wear your shoes. Fairly straightforward. And my favorite, comply with instructions given by emergency personnel, first aiders. If the fireman says don't go back into the burning building, don't go back into the burning building. Okay, dealing with hazards. Our complex two-stage process. I need you to focus now and hang in here with me. If it's safe to do so, eliminate the danger. Pick up the banana peel, yeah? Number 2, report the hazard. That's it. Two-stage process. If it's safe, eliminate the danger, then make a report. There's an example down there, I've been through this already. Unplug the faulty electrical item, tape up a tear in the carpet, turn off the flickering light, relocate the cord obstructing the walkway, etc. This is all you guys need to think about and do. If you see a problem, if it's safe, eliminate the problem and then report it. If you can't eliminate it, report it. It's not so hard. How do we report? Okay, so there's the form. The form is available in hard copy in all of our buildings. It's also available online. And let's just jump out of this screen for a minute and go and have a look where that is. So bear with me. We're going to jump onto the web and we're going to go to this site. So sites.google.com/a/myst.com.au/intranet. If that sounds complicated, you only need to get it once and add it to your bookmarks. And once you've got it, it will take you to a site that looks like this. And if you're not already familiar with this, I'm not going to go into detail, but it contains a lot of important information for staff and other people who are active in the organization. But we have here the Work Health and Safety tab. And if I click on that, straight away you'll see Email Hazard Report Form. And you can download it or view it and submit it from there. Okay, so that's where the form is if you can't find it. Remember, it looks like that. Let's have a closer look at that. Okay, It's not difficult. All you've got to do is put in your name, your date, where it took place. Are you a staff member, a volunteer, a guest, a contractor? Okay, halfway down there, I'm reporting an accident. That was something that actually involved an injury. An incident. So it didn't involve an injury, but something nearly happened. You went, whoa, you nearly slipped, but you didn't fall over. Or a hazard, you've seen a problem. Nothing's actually happened, but it could in the future. The second part of that form, which we won't bother going into, is just to provide a brief description of it, and then you submit that form to the manager or really to anyone else, and it'll get to the manager. Okay, what are the potential risks? So I'll just jump back for a second. That was our complex two-stage process of, if it's safe, remove the danger, report the hazard. That's the report form. It's available online and in hard copies and in all good bookstores. That's not entirely true, but okay. Potential risks. These are actual risks that relate to our place of work, to MYST. Okay. We've got manual handling, display screen equipment. Wrong button, sorry. Display screen equipment, which is essentially using a computer, stress management, and we're going to cover off on these individually, and violence. Okay. Let's have a quick look. Manual handling. Most of you or all of you should have encountered this before. It's about lifting heavy things. If it's too heavy for you to lift on your own, you need to get someone to help you. The important steps here, as illustrated by this diagram, is step close to the load, bend with your knees, stand straight up, not bending with the back. Something that I think people often miss with this, and you might glaze over because you've seen this before, it's not just about how you lift it. It's also, the last point there is, when carrying the load, move your feet. Don't twist your body. So you actually want to think like a little bit of a robot that can't turn in the middle. If you need to turn sideways, you want to actually turn around with your feet, because that twisting of the back can result in an injury. Okay, display screen equipment. So essentially it's about avoiding sitting in the same position for long periods. You should take a break every hour away from the computer. Now, a break doesn't mean, go out for half an hour. It could be as simple as going to the toilet. It could be as simple as going and getting a glass of water. The important thing is that you don't sit at your computer for hours and hours and hours. Maintain good posture. We have more detailed procedural information about this stuff. This is just a summary. If we go back to that website, let's do that. Let's jump back there now. Okay, so here we are under work health and safety, and under procedures, we've got a procedure here for display screen equipment. Okay, so that is a document that goes into more detail about how we've assessed people's safety. But again, I'm summarizing it here, which is to take breaks, maintain good posture. All right, stress. Work-life balance, what's that? All right. The work that we do with young people has been identified as being a type of work that generates stress. Okay, so what's that about? Well, we work in varied kinds of roles. They're often complex, and we make complex decisions that sometimes affects the lives of other people. An example of that is that a young person discloses something to you that needs to be reported, and you have to make a decision about how to make that report in consultation with the young person or without them. Sometimes it's without them, but it's going to have an impact on their life, hopefully. And research tells us that those kind of decisions create stress for some people, some more than others, but there it is. Our clients are often challenging, have challenging behaviours. Our funding is sometimes unstable. We work in the community services sector where we're beholden to government for our funding, and that comes and goes, and that instability can be a trigger for stress, and our industry is prone to change. So all of those factors about the kind of work that we do tell us that stress can be an issue for people working in this industry. For that reason, our response, our work health safety response to that is not only to monitor people in an ongoing and caring positive way, but to provide people with the opportunity to attend external professional supervision. And through that supervision, you can talk to your supervisor about any of those factors that may be causing you stress, and they should be able to give you advice on how to manage that stress. All right, the last one's violence. Again, the nature of the clients that we work with, and sometimes it's not the clients, sometimes it's their parents, but unfortunately, violence can be a part of the work that we do. So some of the common questions that get asked are, is it possible to predict who will be violent? What can I do to prevent a situation from becoming violent? What should I do to protect myself if someone strikes out at me? If you don't know the answers to these questions, or if you're not sure, or if you don't feel confident, there is specific training that can help prepare and equip staff to deal with these sorts of situations. The training helps us recognize predictors and triggers of client violence and aggression. We can learn how to implement appropriate violent prevention and diffusion measures, and gain skills to develop and implement strategies for making your workplace safer. So, speak to your supervisor or your manager about accessing and attending the next available violence training. As I said, all of our safety programs are available for download and reading via the online document site, which we looked at previously. Okay, we're nearly at the end. So, emergency evacuation. In case of an emergency, you are required to evacuate too. Now, it depends on where you are. If you're in Katoomba, it's to the Centrelink car park. If you're in Springwood at Manners Park, it's out onto Macquarie Road by the taxi rank. And if you're in Winmalee, you go out through the gates into the car park of the hotel across the road. Little man there is saying, get out early, don't wait for an emergency. You can't stress that enough. There's no reason to stay in a building if you need to evacuate, be it for fire or any other reason. Everything's replaceable except for you, so get out. Emergency equipment. We have emergency equipment in all of our buildings. The facilities that we have are provided to us by Blue Mountains City Council. They're owned by Council, and Council maintains and updates all of the emergency equipment, such as fire extinguishers, fire hoses, alarms, fire blankets. At the end of this presentation, if you're not already familiar with where these things are, you need to ask your supervisor or a colleague to give you a quick 2-minute tour of the building and get them to point out where those things are. First aid. Okay, there are first aid kits located in all of our buildings, and there is a first aid officer identified for each building. Once again, if you're not clear, not sure, at the end of this presentation, or indeed pause it right now and go and find out where that first aid kit is and who the first aid officer is. Smoking, really simple. Again, these are council buildings, and irrespective of council's policy, it is MYST's policy that there be no smoking in or around our buildings. And that, dear friends, is the end. Thank you.